Yeah,
obviously, some people are saying on Twitter to sell Tomiyasu. My personal opinion, obviously, the injury record is concerning. I'm personally not entertaining selling Tomiyasu. He's a good player, good age, can play across the back three. Think he's a good squad player. I hear the concerns about injury, but he was someone that kind of helped us in his own way, like with Smith Rowe last season. So we're gonna turn our back on guys just because it's not quite the same energy. That's my opinion. You lot are the reason you're here. I'm tired of waffling about Arsenal. You lot sportsman.
No, I agree personally. Like with Tomiyasu, because he's still at a young age, and let's take it back 12 months ago. We was missing Tomiyasu. We couldn't wait for him to come back at this point of the season. I know his fitness has been unreliable, but because he's still young, you can still give him that time. And the fact that he's versatile, Arteta wants to play him at left back half the time. Thinking about it, he seems to be the backup over Kieran Tierney at the moment. Playing, as DG just said, playing across that whole back four, he can play there. And yeah, man, he's a squad player for me. So if he's a starter, then maybe we have to look differently, kind of how we treated it with Tierney. But I'd keep him, man.
You know what, right? I know this is going to be more of a question for you guys, but I'm very conflicted. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm very conflicted because when I'm seeing certain levels and when I'm seeing Europa League level and then I'm seeing Champions League level, do you think that there are certain men in our team who we like but are not good enough for the Champions League?
100%. I'm looking at Tomiyasu, but I don't think Tomiyasu is one, bro.
Hold on. Let me just my thing.
Yeah, let him land.
I look at him and think, look, you're a good player, and I like to call him like a Swiss Army knife because he can play centre back. He can play right back. He can play left back. He can do the wing back role as well. So that's another kind of position. So it's like a right back and left wing back. Sorry. So I look at him. I think you're good enough, but you got the injuries, which is one thing. And the injury that happened on Thursday was quite innocuous. Like someone fell on him, hence why he got injured.
He got ripped. I can't lie. He got ripped.
He got ripped. But and that happened again against Son. I don't know if you remember. Son kind of did the same thing to him a couple of seasons back. But I'm looking at him like, when he goes forward, is he good enough? Because that's
why I'm saying centre back settings, man. Because clearly,
the thing is, what I would say, like in our system, the right back inverts to be the centre back, the left back inverts into midfield, and that's the one that's got more of a free role on the left hand side, kind of go forward, tuck into midfield, or drift out into the wide areas of the left hand channel. So I don't think it's a prerequisite for our system, for the right back to go forward. Now I know that Ben White is finding some luck and some joy, and he got the assist the other day for one of Saka's goals going forward. But I think what's more important for our right back in our particular system is that defensive piece. That they can tuck in, that they can win headers, that they can cover sort of the right hand space if anyone's trying to attack the channel, or the space between themselves and Saliba. On the left-hand side of them. So,
King, is yesterday, I don't know if you man noticed, the back four that ended, who was right back?
Partey,
I mean, he's done it before at Atletico. We ain't got many other options.
I tell you what, though, I don't want Partey leaving that midfield for any reason.
Wait, Gunner King, you said something, and I want to ask you on that, because before we carry on, hold your thought, Lee. You know how you mentioned the inverted right back stuff and on the whole left hand side. Do you feel a natural progression is either to have one of two things? Either we could have a stationary left back and that inverted stuff on the right hand side, or do you think Mikel Arteta will look to go sometime like with City, the two inverted fullbacks? Just because you mentioned the point.
I think what he might do is look to, like, for variation, to have like a fullback on, like, to be able to revert the roles. So on the left hand side, have like a more defensive minded left back that can tuck into being a centre back, which Tierney can already do, and then having a right back on the other side that can play the Zinchenko role, but on the right hand side. So that Fresneda kid, like if Tomiyasu or Fresneda come in and they kind of like have that sort of space and that freedom that Zinchenko has, but on the right hand side, then you can use Tierney, because Tierney's played as a centre back in a back three, and he plays as a centre back for Scotland as well. Then you've kind of got that option there, and that kind of unlocks Tierney a bit. I think with Tomiyasu, like at his age, if he was 26, 27, I'd be questionable. But look at it like this: Thomas Partey came in early on in his Arsenal career, could barely maintain his fitness.
Couldn't stay fit for anything. Yeah, you're right.
He's maintaining his fitness a lot better now. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing that. Like the more consistently he's playing games, you know, like he's not breaking down as much. He's still obviously picking up the odd niggling injury. And as you get players that allow for more rotation with Partey, since Jorginho's come in, we've used him in the Europa League games, we've used him in some of the league games in order to kind of ensure that we're not overusing Partey. I think this will help Tomiyasu as well. If we find a similar sort of player that's able to help us do that.
I was going to say, yeah, I actually, and going off what you're saying, I actually do think that Arsenal are going to try and get Caicedo. I don't think that's dead. I thought it was, but I think that they're going to try and go for him. And I can see that, funnily enough, happening. I don't think that affects Declan Rice either. Like, by the way, I'm not saying that Declan Rice ain't going to come, but I just think that there's something inside of me where I'm looking at it and I'm saying Caicedo looks to be, I think Caicedo looks to be Arteta's man. You see the way that Liverpool are doing this whole Bellingham thing, like that's their man. Like no matter who, they want Bellingham. Like I'm looking at it and I'm saying I think that Arteta really thinks that key part of the team is Caicedo now. I think he almost wants to.
Well, over Declan Rice, you reckon?
No, I think Declan Rice will replace Xhaka.
No, but because you said that's his man, like obviously
we get both.
It's Bellingham or nothing. Yeah, you could get both, but what one do you reckon? Just based on what you said, that if Arteta can only have one, is it Declan Rice or Caicedo?
I think it's Caicedo actually. You know, I think that's how important he sees that. When you actually look and you're looking at how important, what's the most important role for the Arsenal team right now? I think that the left 8 and the right 8. They are important in that midfield. I mean, but the linchpin.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm talking about at those three. You've got the left 8, right 8, Odegaard, Xhaka, and then you've also got Partey. I think that Partey replacement or that Partey player, you can't function without Partey. You can function without an Odegaard just about. You can function without a Xhaka just about, but you can't function without a Partey because
we can't function. Yeah, you're right. Still, do you know what? That's an interesting one because I think for me, I would be with you lot and say Partey. But I do think we can't underestimate what Jack has given us this year. But I'd say for me, Partey, because there's a significant drop.
We're doing minuscule things here because they're
all... because I think like Odegaard, you miss him. But then for me, I say Partey because, like you said, we can get away with it. We can't necessarily with Partey.
The reason why is because I think that Partey role, if you find someone who can spray the ball left, spray the ball right, he can get the ball to Martinelli. He can get the ball to Saka. He can play in like Ben White. He can play. Do you know what I mean? There are avenues around. Whereas I feel like to stop attacks, to get the ball from the back, to spray the ball out left to right, to get the ball to Xhaka, to get the ball to Odegaard, it normally comes from one person. It comes from that 6 role. So I just think that that's the most important role. And I think that he does look at it and think, I need to get that right. If I don't get that right, I'm basically screwed. So I think that's why Caicedo is the most important player that I think he's going to try and get. I don't think that the Declan Rice is, of course, it's important. I just don't think it's as important. But
I hear what you're saying because that's the hardest role to play. Like Pep Guardiola has Rodri. Look at Calvin Phillips. He can't even get sniffing. And Calvin Phillips was a highly rated player. Like when he made that move to City, it takes so much in there. We've seen Jorginho. He can do the possession thing. He can do that well, move it forward, spraying it. But the athleticism required exactly to cover the channels, to trap back. You're seeing it against Man United, you know, with that Anthony run that we keep speaking about as well. How he has to do he has so much responsibility in there. That's where, you know, I'd love Caicedo for that because he can do that, but so can Declan Rice. And that's why I think that he is Arteta's man and he's someone that Arteta's been looking at. And we know with Arteta that, yes, it's what you can do on the pitch, but what you bring in terms of personality and leadership. And that's what Declan Rice has in abundance in terms of being West Ham captain.
That's also a great point.
And do you know what I mean?
Thank you. Because I was thinking at the last...
Sorry. With most 4-3-3 systems, like...
I think he froze you.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Gunner, man. You're making a point.
Most 4-3-3 systems.
I'm saying that he is the captain.
Hey, African, you're cracking up, bro. You're cracking up still.
The 6 pivot is like the most important.
Let Gooner.
Yeah, no. Sorry, man. I was just saying.
Gunner, man. Go for it.
The number 6 player in a 4-3-3 system is always your most important chess piece. Do you know what I mean? Like, because, you know, like you imagine Xavi and Iniesta trying to function without Busquets, Cruz and Modric trying to function without Casemiro. That's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like Spain at international level. Yeah, when Spain at international level, when they use the same midfield trio, you take Busquets out of it, the whole thing falls apart, bro. So the thing with Caicedo and Rice is they can both function as a 6 or an 8, you know, in that system. Like, so I think like if we did get both, we could alternate how we use them.
Let me ask a question then. We assume we don't get them. Like, worst case scenario, devil's advocate, what do we do? Because we have been linked with Zubimendi. I'm not an expert, but I can't lie. From what I've seen of him, he could be a mini Rodri for us, and he costs about 50 million release clause. Obviously, Caicedo and Declan Rice, I'm sure the 5 of us would agree, you probably have to pay through the nose, pay more than he's actually worth at the time. So assuming we don't get our top target, where do we go from there? And because, you know, as much as I like Edu's work, I think we've seen whether it's been Mudryk, whether it's been Douglas Luiz, whether it's been Caicedo, whether it's been the timing of when we've gone for these players, we haven't always got these number 1 targets. We have shown we can get our number 1 targets before, but one has to wonder, surely, you know, we have to have other targets because, again, everyone's going to want these players. We've seen with Brighton, they'll play absolute hardball over these guys. With Champions League football, surely we should spend that extra bit of cash and get it done. But I don't know, man. I'm just playing devil's advocate with you.
I'm telling you now, man, there's a fake Scottish guy that plays for Brighton, bro. I keep mentioning this guy. Bro, I keep saying, bro, like, McAllister, brother.
For that Xhaka,
bro. I can't understand why people don't rate this guy, bro. Like, man gets goals, bro. Like, he reminds me of Aaron Ramsey, bro. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't actually understand why people don't rate this guy. I think he's so good.
Rate him. I definitely rate him.
I think that when you look at certain players, you just like, yo, you can go up a level or 2 and you will fit right in. And he does
with wavy players as well, respectfully to Brighton, because they're sourcing.
I actually think he will do way better than what Trossard's doing. I like, to be fair, I thought Trossard was good, but I weren't familiar with your game. Like, when I'm looking at certain men, when I'm looking at McAllister, I'm like, yo, you're looking nasty, my guy. Like, the way that he did it for Argentina, he came in and he made the difference, bro. He made the difference. He got goals, he got assists. He's just, bro, like,
yeah, tackles and interceptions as well. You know, he's got like an all-round facet to his game. Like,
it'd be good for the pressing as well, if I'm honest. That's another
any day of the week. I'm taking him over Rice, but any day.
I swear, before the midfield break, before the World Cup break, he had made like more interceptions than any midfielder.
Yeah, he was doing mad things.
You know what I mean? Like,
just before that World Cup,
ball winner as well. That's the thing. At the same time, he's just got like that all-action kind of facet to his game.
Didn't he say he wants his next club to be in the Premier League as well in an interview the other day?
Come on, man, bro. I'm telling you, me. If you're giving me a choice over Rice or McAllister, bro, I'm taking McAllister every single day of the week, bro.
I would take McAllister over Caicedo if I had to only pick one Brighton player. Put it like
no.
I definitely would. I would. I'm serious, bro. I would.
I hear it. I think we need that. I hear that shout for God. I hear it.
Him and Odegaard with Partey. Oh my God.
We just have to hope that we don't have to do too much defending like that. But I do think we need an out replacement. Would you lot make a Zaha? Because I'm conflicted, and I'm pretty sure you lot have your opinions already. I understand not going for him. I think the boat's passed, but I'm not gonna lie, he wouldn't kill the pathway. We've seen what Premier League experience can do. Can play on the left, play on the right, play through the middle, fire in his belly because you ain't gonna get another move. Doesn't kill the pathway. You lot having him free transfer, excluding the wages as well. Would you lot take Zaha?
Nah, I watched it yesterday because defensively he's finished defensively. He can't. Ben White had him going forward. Of course, we know what Zaha brings. Exactly, we know what Zaha brings you going forward and how he can progress the ball and take a man on and give you that goal threat. But defensively, this is why Martinelli had to be shipped out of the team for a little bit at that time so he could develop, and Emile Smith-Rowe took on that role because going backwards, going that way, you can't do what Zaha was doing yesterday.
That's a good point still.
If he's happy to be a squad player, I'll take him. I agree that the boat is passed, but considering it's a free transfer, I take him as an impact sub. Yes, I agree he doesn't do the defending, but in certain situations where we're chasing a game and we need a goal out of nothing, he'd be someone I'd bring on, and I wouldn't expect him to defend. So if he's happy to play that role for the team, then I'd get him. Otherwise I'd pass.
I also think like the thing with like the defensive side of his game, I think like with the greatest respect to Palace, when you play for Palace, no wins in 12 or 13. Do you know what I mean? Morale's at an all-time low. He's been denied like a big move from there a few times as well. Like obviously we went in for him a season or two ago and he was told,
Pepe somewhere, innit?
Yeah, and I think he's probably. I mean, I'm not condoning it. It does show like probably a facet to his side of like the mental game where you're probably going to see it as a net negative, but you can understand why he probably doesn't like apply himself. I feel like a move to Arsenal, like his boyhood club, you don't forget, like he's an Arsenal fan, self-proclaimed. I feel like him coming here would probably motivate him to do better at these things, because it's not like he doesn't have the capability to press. Like he's athletic, he's quick. You know, all you've got to do is put it in his mind that look, there's no
thinking, you
just got to adjust your mindset. Like when you're playing for Arsenal, you have to chase down every ball.
And
there's
when
no
you see what we're doing, surely your mentality will change.
Though, like,
and I feel that's something you could instill in him. You know what I mean? I feel like also like just experience-wise, do you know what I mean? Like African Gooner said, you know, like bring him into the squad. We're going to the Champions League next season. He did make some Champions League appearances, I believe, with Man United.
Around it as well.
You know what I mean?
The champs, you need someone like that.
He's been there, and I think like he would be hungry, you know, to kind of see out the latter years of his career to win a trophy. And the thing with Arsenal at the moment, you're seeing redemption arcs. Do you know what I mean? Like Xhaka, he's gone through his redemption arc. Arteta, he's gone through his redemption arc.
You could even say Odegaard, because some people writ off the man off his first 6 months.
Gabriel as well. And these are powerful motivators within the squad, you know. And I feel like if you brought him in, he's like, look, this is it, my last chance to win something big, the Premier League or the Champions League.
I do think though,
and to do it with my boyhood club, I feel like that would motivate him differently to kind of iron out that kink in his game.
No, I do think. Sorry, go on, DG, go on, bro.
It's Gunner, innit? I mean,
I was just saying for free. I don't know, like,
just
what's the worst that could happen, innit?
Just one thing, then Lee can go. With what Fuad just said there, we haven't really noticed this, but talking to the Crystal Palace man, them.
They said he's lost that. Yeah, I can't lie.
He's picked up enough injuries, you know, this season. He's only just come back from a hamstring one.
Yeah.
You don't want to get caught with a declining player. You're right, still.
I was going to say though, for me, look, I think sometimes you have to remember as well, like, as a man, he's what, 30, 31? Is he going to want to come in and be second fiddle? Because this is his last big contract.
Surely you're going to have that anywhere you go, though.
No, but
unless you go to the Middle East.
He's not. He could go to a team and be more of a guaranteed starter because he's not taking Martinelli's spot right now. You also got to think, and again, I think when you think about squad planning, I think it has to be him coming in, or someone needs to come in and almost like replace Reece Nelson if Reece Nelson goes, or like he's not the kind of player that's going to be a Reece Nelson replacement, because Reece Nelson knows he's not going to start. Reece Nelson knows in an 80 game season, he probably get 20 games. Zaha ain't going to be looking like that. And I know we're going to be in the Champions League, so the level goes up, and you know there is going to be more rotation. But is that going to be the case? Because listen, Arteta, go off what people say. He said to be a top player, you have to play 60 to 70 games. Saka doesn't ever come off the pitch. Saka don't come off the pitch. Martinelli really doesn't come off the pitch. You've still got Trossard. You've now got Jesus there. And Nketiah, Balogun, who, and listen, African Gooner, DG, we spoke about this already. So I just
17
think
goals for the season now, scored in the weekend against Marseille.
I think that's 18 goals. Isn't that 8? He scored yesterday.
18 in all comps, yeah. I think for 17 in the league, he's doing a madness.
Listen, man, for me, I just think that there's certain times where you have to bolster and strengthen, but there's sometimes where like they're so young, like, and if it's fine, like you don't have to pressure a situation that there's no pipes bursting in that area. So for me, I'm focusing on the midfield. I'm putting all my money in the midfield for me.
I hear that.
I know it's for free. And
the right back as well.
And a right back. But I think when you look at it, I'm just thinking, do we need to get another forward? We've got Trossard, we've got Balogun, we've got Nketiah, and again, I'm very high up on Nketiah. I don't know why some people ain't, but I am.
Yeah, some people are not nice to Nketiah, and whether he's going to be the guy or not, give the man a chance. So what you reckon? Sorry to cut you, Lee. Do you reckon we have? All right, assuming we sign no attackers, what we've got now, everyone's fit. We have enough in the ranks in terms of our firepower for the Champions League next year.
I would get a right wing. I would get a bona fide. Yes, you're going to be playing right wing, and you're going to push Saka on a little bit, because look, listen, let's be real. Saka's only 21 years old. I keep saying this. I use this example all the time. These men are 21 years old. In normal walks of life, any 21-year-old has just finished uni. They're not going to be the best, the most experienced at anything. Even if you're a millionaire at 21 years old, you don't know everything, because you can get £2 million, you can get £20 million. So You're not that made guy. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if you feel like you've got to a certain level, Saka will be a made man because he's got what, double now to what is it, 13 goals or 12 goals.
I mean, every week he's breaking some sort of statistic. He's up there in crazy, doing crazy things. His experience has been learnt on the job.
The first Premier League player this season to get double-digit goals and assists. The most goal involvements of any player that's 21 or under in the whole of Europe.
The man's crazy.
Like the most completed dribble take-ons. Like this guy.
Half his goals are match-winning, decisive moments. Saka's a madman.
And that's what I was going to say, DG. With his goals, it was only yesterday that it wasn't either the equaliser or the goal that gives us the lead.
Oh yeah, that's right as well. Yeah, that was another one. Yeah,
add on in
his like ultimate clutch goals, and he scored against most of the big six clubs as well this season that we played against.
What more can you say about Saka?
64 games, yeah, in the last 64 games, 40 GA, bro. This is what we're having to do with. This guy is a made man. He's going to win the Premier League hopefully at the end of the season, but he still needs to be pushed on. I want to see a Mane / Mo Salah kind of vibe. I want to see the Robin Ribery team with Martinelli and Saka, but they still needed Coleman behind them. They still needed certain man behind them to, like, bro, you know what? If you're not doing,
that's never been more important than it is in the present day.
So I'm saying, right now, we've got squad depth in that forward position because, bro, the other day we had a couple of men out and we was like, you know what? Our bench is still all right. We still got Reece Nelson on the bench. So I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, look, there are different type of strikers that we've got. There are different types of wingers that we've got, of like forward players, wide forward, whatever it is. I would say, look, someone else to kind of push Saka on a little bit more because you don't want to have the Mo Salah factor where he's constantly playing week in and week out. I think midfield is the position where you need to start saying, you know what, okay, cool, let's level up a little bit, and obviously the right back as Gooner King said as well. Man.
Yeah, you look kind of looking to proactively replace Partey and Xhaka, not like as in like.
Not
bring someone in like they're not doing good enough.
You lot's predecessors, were you lot
successful? Yeah, I mean, you look at Liverpool, they fell apart because they weren't proactive about replacing Hendo, Keita, Ox, who don't stay fit.
And then they had a crazy imbalance between experience and the young ones. You're right.
So you want to kind of do it early, yeah, whereby like you bring in a Caicedo and a Rice, you bring in a Diaby for the right hand side from Leverkusen, you bring in Fresneda. If we did that and signed no one else, I'd be happy. Yeah, because that way. Like you've got the right side, the right hand side. Saka's got someone that can alternate with him, who's also left footed, who can invert and cut inside. You've got your 6 and your 8. You know what I mean? Like if Partey's not fit, then you've got that with Jorginho, with Caicedo and Rice, and then you've got Xhaka can be rotated out for any one of those 3 players. You can even play Jorginho in that further forward 8 role as well. Which I think would be compelling as well, by the way. I've said that for a while because how good he is on the ball, like passing, threading balls through the eye of a needle. Imagine him with Odegaard behind him and Partey just in that final third area, just slipping balls in for Jesus to run on the end of.
My thing for that right wing spot is I need someone multifunctional in there because with Saka, the guy barely gets injured. He plays so many games, right? You're not displacing him.
He's getting the results as well. So
exactly,
you can't lose that.
I was loving Rafinha when we were linked with him, right? But having a look at it now, Rafinha is a right wing man who's gonna predominantly play on that right wing. Yeah, he can do the left wing thing a little bit, but I want someone. Jesus is one. Steve Stone said it in the chat, right? He's someone that can play on that right wing. I want someone, if we're going to sign someone for that position, I want someone who can cover both areas. That's my thing. Someone who can play in the front line, either on the left or up front. That's what I want. Like Trossard, do you see what Trossard's doing now? We brought him in and his secondary position was a striker. Eddie picks up an injury. We go even up to a next level.
For me, it's kind of like you want an Ampidel, yeah? Someone that can use both their feet because Saka does that. Like, even though he's left-footed, he'll go out onto his right-hand side and he'll try and cross or shoot. We've seen him get a number of goals recently with his right foot or go on the outside just for that air of unpredictability and try and get a cutback win with his right foot as well. So I want someone who's predominantly left-footed but can use their right foot just to kind of be able to kind of... Because if you look at the other wingers, like, Nelson can play on the right. Martinelli can play on the right. He's done it this season. ESR can play on the right, but they're all right-footed, and they all are predominantly right-footed. They're not really looking to use their left foot like that. Do you know what I mean? So I think for balance, you need like an inverted right-sided winger. Do you know what I mean? Or forward, basically.
I'm a bit different, man. Is that I agree with what T's saying and what you're saying. In that, ideally, I want someone that's kind of what draws me to Zaha, away from the obvious negative points. In that, you can kind of play everywhere, you can kind of fit in. I either want someone specifically like that, or I would like a striker that is several calibers above what we have, which I don't see coming in. I don't really want another guy that just kind of just sort of fits in, sort of thing. And it makes me think, we're linked with Musa Diaby today, apparently 50 million euros. Now that's not the biggest, but is he going to want to sign knowing you're back up to Bukayo Saka, knowing that all that competition on the left, really, does it really help us? Really,
it's like the Spurs.
And someone always someone's gonna have to miss out. If you bring in a right winger and bring back Balogun, Eddie Nelson would probably have to leave, but you've got Eddie Nelson and indirectly someone else, because not everyone can be in the match day squad. So surely it's kind of doomed before we started, bro.
Yeah, Spurs and Liverpool, with Salah, they can't get no one for that right wing either.
I do feel like Diaby, I'm not saying like he pushes Saka and takes his spot, but I do feel like certain Champions League games, certain league games, like
definitely.
Yeah, we've used Jorginho instead of Partey for a number of games, and we've been fine. I do feel like it's just like a case of saying, you know what, Saka, you can't play all the games. Like we're just gonna just jam you for a couple games, so that we can keep your level is optimal, yeah. So that this guy comes in, and look, between them, they'll get 30, 40 games. If you're competing in 4 competitions, and you're trying to get as far as possible in all of them, and you're not really looking to like sort of take out quality when you're resting these players, that's the sort of guy you bring in that allows you to
in abundance.
Yeah.
So you're right.
That's what I'm looking for, isn't it? That kind of squad, isn't it? Where you've got 2 first-team squads where even the second squad could get top 4 if you played it the whole season. Do you know what I mean? And the first one could challenge like the big boys in Europe. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I do look at that position. I look at Partey's. I look at Xhaka's for a quality upgrade, but and the right back thing. But probably the most important would be Partey, then the right winger, then the 8, then the right back for me. That's how I'd look at it.
What are you not saying for centre back? Because obviously, I'm not talking about Saliba or Gabriel.